I'm wanting to touch on a survey issue that Trey brought up and Harold both. And it might not be possible, I don't know, but I was just thinking with our mobile app, when you check in a deer or a turkey, could we not ask some of these questions on that? I don't know if it's possible to do with the way it's set up, but I mean, when I checked in a deer on it this year, it asked a lot of other questions. I was just wondering if we might add some survey in there and it wouldn't cost us a thing.
Yeah, there's ways to do it. You just have to be very careful not to get a biased group, because obviously if they're checking in an animal, you'll only be sampling successful hunters. And so you
Right.
won't be reaching the unsuccessful hunters.
Well, I mean, we've got 55 people that put in a comment out of
Yeah,
240.
to be honest, one of the better ways, besides a phone survey, mail-in surveys, there's different ways we could survey people, and regardless of the way to do it, there's biases built in. And so we strive to conduct a survey that has the least amount of biases. The one thing you don't want to do is send out a survey to people, because usually the only people that respond are the people that are really interested in that subject.
How many people checked in a deer or a turkey on their mobile app this
It
year?
was 55% last year, so we killed probably about 80 or 90,000.
That'd be a lot of contacts. I mean, that's just a thought. I mean, I'd throw it out there.
Do you have any questions? Commissioner Cannon.
When it comes to surveys, polls, whatever, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I have to believe that if we can buy a license with an app, check in game with an app, I can talk to my grandkids in California over a laptop, we can figure out a way to do this to everyone's satisfaction, to quality deer management folks who believe in their mission, to our folks, to everyone. And you have to sit down and think about it. But I've got confidence you all will come up with that plan. There's no question about it.
Great. And with that, members of the commission, if we could, go ahead. I'd love to give members from the public an opportunity to comment on this preview, and then we'll get into the hunting season's proclamations that will be proposed from the agency. Do you have any members in the public who would like to visit with the commission?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and actually, what if I'd ask you to do, and I'd want to make sure I'm sensitive. I see you have crutches, so I want to be very sensitive to you. We can get a microphone brought to you, or if you're comfortable to stand at the mic, if you just introduce yourself, any organization you might represent, or just as a citizen, which is awfully important. And I'd love to know which part of the state you're from, because I'm curious and would love to know. And if you'll just address me during your comments, I'd really appreciate that.
Miss Barbara, I had called in earlier and I don't know if there's a spot where she had me on there to speak.
Well, we can go ahead and do that, and if we can bring the microphone to you if you would prefer that.
I'm good.
If that would, we want to.
I'd be dressed a little better.
Yeah,
if I
we
just
want
know
to,
that.
here, just so our members of our viewing audience, as well as the folks here in the room, this is so
Okay.
on the live streaming folks can hear, and then beyond your comments, we'll put it back up. But we want to make sure folks at home and for the record, we can preserve this.
Well,
Thank you.
I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed either. So I've made some notes, and what notes I've made has been off the TWA website to the best of my ability.
And would you do me a favor, please, and
Yes,
just introduce
yes, ma'am.
yourself?
My name is LJ Planer. I live in Pleasant View right now. I have lived in Tennessee since 1989. Been an avid hunter. I have hunted every year except for the years I've been out of country. I have 3 lifetime license holders in my household. And talking about this, we have never once been asked any questions or been part of any polls. First of all, I would like to start by thanking Director Carter and the Commission for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. I would also like to say that TWA does a great job in managing our state's resources for the public. There's no question about that. And this is not an opportunity to bash anyone or leave a bad taste in your mouth. This is just an opportunity for myself and others to voice an opinion to the people who pass the rules and regulations in deer hunting in this state. Before I say anything else, about the deer herd, I want to emphasize that I'm not from the QDMA, and all the information seen on the websites and social media about vote or the commission deciding on anything today was completely coming from other sources, not from anyone I know or anyone I've talked to. The only people I represent are those hunters in this state, especially Middle Tennessee, the area that I want simple change to the buck limits. More people were going to come to this meeting, but I've asked them not to, so it didn't seem to be a big gaggle coming in a forceful amount of people. In 1998, our state made a huge change in the buck limit, as we saw earlier, going from 11 to 2 in the same year and bumping our bucks back to $3 in 1999. It has remained $3 since 1999, with the exception of Unit B to $2 limit for a few years, that 14-year span. Many Tennessee hunters think it's time to seriously look at going to a $2 limit statewide. It seems like we're satisfied with the past 14 years, and we aren't wanting to make it any better. Satisfied could be a relevant term. I'm satisfied with my house. Would I like a bigger one? Absolutely. I'm satisfied with my Ford Ranger. Would I want an F-350? Absolutely. Satisfied, I think, is very relevant in the questions that are being asked. Let me get back to my place. Many Tennessee hunters think it's time to seriously look at going to that $2 state limit. Yes, both buck and doe ratios and our buck age structures have been improving over the past several years. Let's keep in mind that this has been in large part due to our going from 11 buck to a lowering buck limit. It appears we've made all the improvements that are going to happen from going from 11 buck to a $3 limit in this last 14 years. And I'm sorry for you're going to have to bear with me. I put a couple proposals together that I'd like the commission to take a look at. Assuming our deer population density is near the habitat's carrying capacity and or human social carrying capacity. The lower buck limit is much about the healthier deer herd as trophies, yet it benefits both. And producing more larger antlered buck is simply a benefit of a healthier deer herd. Better health benefits not only the deer, but the habitat. The other animals, birds, sharing that habitat. Hunters who claim to mainly meat hunt as well. All those who claim to mainly trophy hunt, buck hunters as well. A simple annual $2 limit would be the most ideal in making our statewide deer herds healthier, as it would promote a more balanced either sex harvest as well as improved buck age structure. Not to mention, it may not be necessary to prevent either overpopulation of deer herds and or deer density exceeding the human social carrying capacity. A lower buck limit will cause more hunters to shoot more female deer if given the opportunity, which is how the deer density is kept in check. A statewide $2 limit would be the simple solution and easiest to implement to enforce. However, the counties in the state with few antlerless opportunities would probably have some opposition to it because it's taking away from them putting a deer in the freezer. And we understand that. Hunters who have very limited antlerless days, such as in Unit B, having 26 counties in the eastern part of the state, may be opposed to having a lower buck limit. My second proposal, Units A and L are perfect for implementing a $2 limit because there are more deer and hunters have the opportunity to shoot more antlerless deer. Units A and L have a total of 69 counties, with all of Region 2 and most of Region 1 falling into Unit L. The downside is that you have two different buck limits in the state. But this shouldn't matter, just as it doesn't matter that we have different size creel limits on fish in a lot of our lakes, and the hunters will figure it out. we do a great job in managing our fish, and say there's a trophy fish, you can only take one catfish over 33 inches. We do a great job on our fish, but we leave managing our trophy deer out of this. How many people in the state go out and catch 2 or 3 catfish over 34 inches, and then they go fishing? I would say very few, but we still regulate it. How many of those catfish can be kept by a fisherman? It's considered a trophy fish, but when we say trophy buck, it's viewed as a negative by some people. It seems like this agency is all about trophy size limits, creel limits, and regulating what people can take in the fisheries division, but when it comes to the wildlife side of the agency, it's afraid to regulate it. If the agency does want to regulate hunters and doesn't want to regulate hunters and wants to leave it up to them to make the choice of what they want to shoot, then why is there a buck limit at all? If the limit doesn't matter because hunters aren't killing their limit anyway, then why is there a buck limit at all? Because it does matter. And if you were to say buck limits don't matter, so let's have a season where you can shoot as many bucks as you want to shoot, there would be a lot of people blowing up the phones and emails, more than what you're receiving now. Because perception matters. The fact that people can kill 3 bucks statewide is perceived by a lot of hunters in Unit L and A as too many, even though the numbers statewide are showing only 1% of all hunters harvest more than 1 buck annually. We believe that's somewhat misleading. It is probably a higher percentage of people killing multiple bucks in Unit L and A, where deer densities are higher and sometimes hunter numbers are lower, as compared to Unit B, where there are more hunters with fewer deer to hunt. Take a look at hunters who check in antlered deer in opening weekend of archery or opening weekend of muzzleloader all over the state in each unit. I'm sure you will see that probably 4 out of 5 people checking in an antlered deer with growth. And let's see. Checking in a deer are killing at least 2 bucks during the season. That said, going from our current simple 3 buck limit to a 2 buck limit is not a drastic change. It is simply a very positive, good step in the right direction to improving our deer herds. I would like to read from the agency's website. Now, I understand that seeing this today, some of this has changed, but this is what I could find in the last week off of the website. Historical data from Tennessee suggests that there has been no negative impact on the herd due to lower bag limits, 11 buck limits per 1998, 3 buck limits post 1998. A buck comparison of buck age structure from annual deer harvest suggests the Tennessee deer herd compares favorably with those states with more restrictive buck regulations. It is the agency's belief that hunting opportunities should be as liberal as possible without having a negative impact on the herd. Therefore, more restrictive regulations should not be adopted unless it will be the majority of hunting public. The agency's deer management program has achieved an 82% approval rate utilizing this philosophy, University of Tennessee. But that was in 2004, and that was all I could find on the website. I didn't see anything past that. And it may just be me and my ability not to been able to find that. I would ask the commission members to take a closer look at the number of people who have written to the agency requesting a lower buck limit for the past several years. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but it seems to me if there is an example, 100 people write in about deer only, and 50 of those are asking to lower the buck limit, then it is worth discussing at the commission meeting. I would also ask that the commission members look at those comments each year. Most people send a request to the comments email instead of the commissioners' members. And lastly, I would ask the commissioners to ask what the 4 regions requested in their individual season setting meetings at the district and at the regional level. Again, this is from the agency's website. As we progress in the future, the agency faces a number of challenges in its deer management program. Perhaps number one among these challenges are the problems caused by stabilization and/or reduction in the numbers of hunters, with the overall deer herd increasing at an estimated rate of 1 to 2% per year, and especially with the anticipated herd growth in eastern and far western Tennessee in the next few years. It will become more difficult to harvest the necessary numbers of does with little or no growth in the hunters' numbers. A lot of Tennessee hunters are leaving the state and going to other areas to hunt deer. There are plenty of opportunity to hunt and harvest deer in this state, but the opportunity is what managers and biologists are working on for in the 80s. We're moved past the opportunity, especially in units L and A, and now a lot of hunters are looking for a quality hunting experience and an opportunity to harvest an older aged buck along with harvesting meat for the freezer. Thank you for your time today. I hope this will create more discussion among the members of the commission, and I hope you will take a hard look at dropping the buck limit to a 2 per season.
Thank you, Mr. Planner. We greatly appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
They're very valuable, and if a member of the agency would be kind enough to adjust the microphone for Mr. Planter. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Just very quickly, I would like to recognize a guest in the audience. Executive Vice President of the Farm Bureau has joined us, Ms. Radonna Rose. We appreciate you joining us today. Thank you for being here. Any other members of the public? Yes, sir. Please come to the microphone and introduce yourself.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name's Jimmy Settle. I'm from Clarksville, Tennessee. I'm a landowner in Montgomery, Stewart County. I'm a hunter. I'm a land consultant. I sell farms, recreational track, hunting tracks, Middle Tennessee, western to Kentucky, and western Tennessee. I wasn't coming here to speak today just to listen, but Commissioner Cannon made a statement, what questions are being asked and how we're asking that. The surveys that we're talking about, the UT surveys, I guess the question I would like to ask, or see asked, we're not being told, or the public hasn't been told today, is 50,000 people responding? Is 5,000 people responding? Is 500? You know, there seems like there's a lot of weight put on that. Or at least it keeps getting brung up and brung up and brung up. Just like in 2007, the question was being asked, would you prefer a $2 limit? 60 and 70% for a couple of years there in a row was the answer, yes, we would. Well, that question evidently wasn't liked, so now they asked, how many bucks would you like to kill between 0 and 10? That's not a realistic question either. I mean, 10 bucks? We don't want to go back to $6. I'm not saying what it should be, but I don't think that's a realistic question either. But why we choose to do that. In 1998, when we went to $2, it was screaming. I'm sure Commissioner Cox in your area, I know them boys in Fayette County hated that. I've hunted with them. And what we do, we did a knee-jerk reaction and raised it to 3. You know, if you do anything, I suggest you do it and leave it for 5 years. Comment was made today, we felt we should have saved 20,000 bucks. In 1 year, could have been a bad year or whatever, but really you should have let it set for 4 or 5 years to go on. Commissioner Cox brought up a very valid point about the kids. Yes, that's our future. But at the same time, 1% is only killing $3. Commissioner Teague, you know, made a statement, let the youth hunt not count. Then they kill $2 in the regular season. Great idea. That lets them still kill $3 and go from there. I'm very pleased with my wildlife, my game wardens, people in my counties. First trapping of hogs in Stewart, Montgomery County was on my property. I've had helicopter hunts on my property from Fish and Wildlife, yeah, and they've made an impact for me. My officers have protected me and done a good job in that area. But the one statement I think that was made today, that Tennessee is a greatly variation state. It is. And we can't manage how does $1 limit, or a $2 limit or $5 limit work from Bluff City to Memphis? Probably don't. Probably 3 don't either. But that was, you know, that's some of the important things I think that we're asking about there. And I may have one other, you know, like I said, over 50% of our hunters are not killing a buck today. And yeah, if I didn't kill 3, would that let somebody else kill another buck? It's a greater chance that that could happen. But I'll be glad to answer any questions, but I do appreciate the chance to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Settle. I appreciate your comments very much. Thank you. And I know every member of the commission does. Thank you. Any other comments from the members of the public? Okay, I do want to be sensitive to everyone in the room. Any commissioners needing a facilities break, or are we good with proceeding?
Take a break.
Okay, with that then, it is 2:30. Is 10 or 15 minutes, gentlemen? 15 minutes at 2:15? I'm sorry, 2:45 sharp. We will begin. Thanks. We're in recess.